There's a number of reasons to use Repair Tracker. I think everybody on the call are Tango users. So Repair Tracker just gives you a portal into the repair shop. Let's look at that just a little bit. Two parts to Tango, two big overriding goals. The first is the portion that has to do with condition-based maintenance, and that has to do with the elimination of failures in service. We've talked a lot about that through other of these seminars. But for the next few, that we're going to be concentrating on the second goal of Tango, and that's increasing the operating life of a piece of equipment by the systematic elimination of root causes of failure. And Repair Tracker really falls squarely into that area, because what we need is a systematic approach to dealing with repair vendors who know the information about repairs. And at most plants, current state of the technology is there's lots of pieces of information, lots of databases, header folders, spreadsheets. There's not a lot of standardization, even between vendors. Different vendors are reporting repairs and failures differently. Sometimes even the same vendor reports it differently between repair jobs. The ability to integrate it among different types of equipment, the ability to communicate the information, and move that out to the plant. So those are all key areas of Tango that Repair Tracker falls into. I grabbed an old set of information from one of our clients. They were talking about Repair Tracker, and their thought was that the biggest thing Repair Tracker did for them is it gave them a very professional, organized, systematic approach to dealing with their repair vendors. Whereas before, information coming in from shops was very disorganized, came in with emails, it went to only one or two people. The user felt like it gave them a good approach. The shops felt like it added a lot of extra information or a lot of value added for their clients, so they were willing to take it on. I always question how well will shops react to Repair Tracker when you ask them to do this. I've only had one instance where a shop kind of balked at using Repair Tracker and putting the information in. Most of the time, they are very ready to do whatever it takes to make their client happy. Case where one shop didn't like it, they'd already been worked so hard for price that they wanted to gain a little bit back, and so they finally ended up charging, I think, an extra 10 or 15 minutes per repair, which was almost nothing for doing the Repair Tracker entry. Again, in Repair Tracker, what we're trying to do is get all of your repair vendors putting information in the same way coming into your Tango package. If you have in-house repair shops, people use Repair Tracker for in-house repair shops too, although in-house they could use Tango just as well. Tango has a number of different portals, of which Repair Tracker is one of them. So we'll leave that and come back to those portals another time. In the life cycle of a critical repairable piece of equipment, you essentially purchase the motor, or you start tracking it at some point in the life of your plant. You're going to pick up and start doing management of motors, breakers, hydraulic cylinders, pumps, any number of critical repairable equipment. And so once it's in the Tango database, you're now set to track its life cycle through stores into functional locations, when it fails in a functional location, out to the repair shop, and then back into stores or a functional location. Tango's set up to do that. Almost always we're really dealing with the ID of the piece of equipment. As you can see on this particular piece of equipment, it's got a steel tag. You can also see that the nameplate information is very hard to read, but still, tag that's been engraved is much easier. And so this one, as you see, has a tag tracking number. And so that's the ID of this piece of equipment, which would be 17100 on that piece of equipment. All through Tango, we're going to be talking about the piece of equipment by its tag number. Before I jump into Repair Tracker, I should say that setting up Repair Tracker takes a little bit of work on our end and on your end. To start with, when we define a shop, we have to define the equipment types that they're dealing with, the fault items that you're going to allow them to enter fault for the equipment they're working on, and the repair actions that they will be putting in. We're going to talk more about all of those areas when we look at where they fall in the entry form in a few minutes. But again, when we set up a repair vendor for you, we have to set that equipment in for the repair vendor. So the equipment types they can repair, fault items, and repair actions that you want them to be able to add to the database. So that's our end. On your end, when you start using Repair Tracker, probably all will remember the database admin screen. Down at the bottom, you see there's a standard Tango user. That means you're just dealing with the condition side and an integrated condition report. But once you start wanting to track equipment and use Repair Track, then you need to define this user as either a plant user or a vendor or shop user. And if they're a shop user, you're going to define the shop from a pick list of shops that are available. If they're a plant user, they can either see the whole plant or they can see some area of the plant. So, for example, if you just wanted to see the motors in the coal mill or motors in one part of the plant, that becomes a feature or a design parameter for that piece of equipment to define what part of the plant owns that motor. But when that's the case, then that user will only see that part of the plant unless you set them up for the whole plant, which is the usual case. Most plant users are set up for the whole plant. So anyway, that's database admin. That's the same database admin that you have in your databases now. And so you'll just go in and select whether they're a plant user or a vendor, and if they're a vendor, what shop they are. And then that sets their right for Tango. Right, when I do a SIM for repair from Tango, one of the ways to get it into Repair Tracker. We're going to do a second iteration of this Repair Tracker training in a couple weeks, and that'll be part 2. It's going to talk about the more advanced features for the shop is doing things like forcing installed equipment out for repair. And there's some reasons you may want that to happen. And there's some programs where that's the only way it happens. But today we're not talking about that. Today we're really talking about you, the plant, putting the piece of equipment out for repair to the shop. So let's do that real quick. Here's our compressor, 2 Syntac. It's got a motor, tag number 3210. Let's send 3210 out for repair. But typically, before I do that, I'm going to want to find a replacement. So let's do an equipment definition real quick in Tango. And I'm in Tango now. Find replacements. And in a moment, it's now listed after replacement. 3515s in stores, 3241s doesn't have its state defined because nobody's told Tango where it is right yet. It's in Tango, but the state isn't defined. So now if I want to take 3210 and send it out for repair, let's do that. Send for repair. Removal date, put as of today. We're going to send it to Rockridge because that's who our repair track is set up for. And without doing any additional work, I'm going to hit save. And it wants me to do a send on date, so let's do that. And that piece of equipment's now been sent out for repair. We'll come back to that in just a moment, but since we're kind of talking about this whole process, I'm now going to back up. I'm going to take 3515, select it for install. I'm going to come over that motor that we just took it out of, install selected. Give it some date and hit save. And so now I've got 3515 back in that slot. And if we go to our out for repair list, and so this repair icon at the top of Tango is our out for repair list. To sort that, and so you see that on January 12th, the Rockridge repair, tag number 3210, which is AC induction motor, was sent out for repair. So in Tango, again, I could go into Tango and put in the repair information. And so if you get sent repair information in an email, you may want to do that. But Repair Tracker really takes it out of your hands and puts that repair information in the hands of your vendor. And so one of the things I wanted to talk about before we go to Repair Tracker is the fact that Tango will send out an email. So this is a send for and return from repair email. Turns out I have one of those in my email as well. Let me bring that up. This particular piece of equipment came out of utilities. It's a sludge pump. This is a pump, so it's gallons per minute and design parameters. No purchasing agent's been set up. The vendor was corrosion fluid product. Reason for repair is on-site repair by. Turns out that your repair vendors really like it when you tell them the reason for the repair. So anyway, that is a send for repair email that Tango sends out. And also when their shop gets through with the repair and returns the repair, you'll get an email about that return from repair, which is the same thing, but it has the failure reasons and repair reasons down at the bottom as well. So again, the send and return email. So that takes us now, we've sent a piece of equipment out for repair. Let's go into repair track. I've bypassed the sign in. I'm just taking us right into repair track. I'm going to click the start page button, and you see that now 3210, which I just sent out on January 12th, is now listed at the bottom. So these are all the motor, or in this case, they're motors. So this is all the equipment that's been sent out for repair. And again, we have a lot of plants that are sending out different types of equipment, be it pumps, gearboxes, hydraulic cylinders, anything where you want your repair vendor be putting information is right for being set up in Repair Tracker, but you may also be tracking other equipment that isn't going through. So you see that I've got various tag numbers for the tag numbers that have been sent out. I've also got the status of where that is in the repair process. Again, what's useful to you is that if you have a vendor and they're repairing quite a few pieces of equipment every month, there's usually a lot of phone calls that flow back and forth to say, what's going on with that piece of equipment? When am I getting it back? Oh, you haven't even got the PO for it yet. Let me get the PO running. So that status column lets the shop tell you where it is in their process. And if something's held up, for example, they're waiting for that PO, it's going to say that in the status comment. So your shop is going to be able to go in and for any piece of equipment, click this button for the status, and they're going to be able to give it a status quoted waiting on approval. So if I hit save there, now back to our page, you see quoted waiting for approval. So your shop can now update anytime they want to or anytime you need them to the status of where that piece of equipment is in the repair process. All right, so I've got two or action buttons. One is the plant tag and one is the repair button. Let's look at the plant tag column. So if I click on the plant tag, it'll tell me that this is a General Dynamics 60 horsepower, 1800 RPM motor. So here are my design parameters. If there were any linked documents, they would be showing here. There aren't any for this particular piece of equipment. Remember, this is a repair tracker. I'm at the shop, and one of the things I may really want to do is see the past history of this piece of equipment. So if I click the view history, it's going to tell me that this one hasn't got a lot of history. It was installed in 84. It was removed in 94 and sent to repair. So obviously this is a demo database and not kept real current. But anyway, you see that the only history on this piece of equipment. But if it had been repaired several times, that's going to be real interesting to the shop. If the shop needs to edit equipment definitions, for example, if you only got in nameplate and you want them to put in your bearings and bars and slots and insulation types and so forth, then all that can go in under equipment definitions. We'll come back to this next week on part 2, but if it's a new piece of equipment, you may need the shop to put in purchase information. If you're buying a new piece of equipment from a vendor, this lets you have the vendor put in purchase information if you want them to do that. So those are the actions that you get by clicking on the tag. One thing I should mention is let's go back to the repair information for just a moment. They can view history, but they cannot view any price information. So if it's been repaired previously, this one hasn't, but if there was a previous repair, they'd be able to say who did the repair, what was done to it, but no price information would be carried through. So we've talked about the actions that happen when you click on the plant tag. There's now the repair entry information that happens when you click on this repair button. So I'm clicking that, and let's just look at this screen from top to bottom. The equipment properties, again, are folded up. This is a General Electric 60 horsepower, 75 amp, full current, so forth. So these are your design parameters as Tango knows them. So this is nameplate plus a little bit, and this is procedure template. I can add a procedure or a form for my vendors to fill out. And the way you would do that back at Tango, at the top of the tree, if I go to link document, here are those two specifications, and they're put in as repair procedures. If I put them in at the plant level, call them repair procedures, then they're going to come back out for your vendors to see them as procedure templates in Repair Track. And that gives you a good ability to give them procedures for repairing different types of equipment and possibly forms that they have to fill out. Below that is history of the statuses that we had assigned. And then below that is our faults and repair act. So let's look at faults for a moment. This particular piece of equipment was sent out with damaged bearings. PC rebuild just means that it's scheduled, I think is what that is. And so damaged bearings are really our primary failure in this case. So when we get to the shop and we open this piece of equipment up, we can tell a lot about why this piece of equipment failed. And so back at the shop, I may know that this is lack of grease. Told it lack of grease, old grease. And we're going to call lack of grease the root cause of failure. And so that's really what you want to accomplish with your repair vendors. You very much want your repair vendors to give you the failure progression from the root cause to the primary failure and any secondary things that happen in between. If there are more than one root cause, old grease, again, may be a contributing factor. But anyway, what we're doing there is just allowing your repair shop to give you a failure progression. You may have to work with your repair shop to make sure that they've got the faults they need and that they know how you want them to present that. Repair actions are a little different. What did I do to repair this piece of equipment? If you've seen an invoice for the repair of this motor, it's got 10 things on it, including painting and cleaning and so forth. You typically don't want to go to that level. Really, what you want for repair actions is you want to know whether it was a rewind, a recondition, whether a recondition typically means they changed the bearings, they did lead work, things like that, because later you pretty much want to sort your repairs. How many rewinds did I have? How many reconditions did I have? How many rewinds did I have of certain type of motor? So there's lots of ways to mine that information if you get good repair information. So the big thing is you don't want that repair action to be a big set of things. You want your vendor to be able to pick from probably half a dozen or a dozen items at the most. And so you're going to have to work with them on that. So if I want to do recondition,
Hey, Forrest, are you the one that would actually add the items to the drop down?
actually, those drop downs we do. So you're going to have to give us a list of what you want in those drop downs, and we'll assign those. Dick, if you're still on the call, you've done plenty of that. You want to address that?
That was one of the PowerPoint slides that Forrest showed you where it's part of defining the equipment that the shop is going to use and the specific fault codes and specific repair actions. If we don't get it all on the initial setup, just need to email us or call us. We can add or modify, as needed. There is not a user interface. That's something that we have to do in the office behind the scenes.
Great, thank you.
Again, need to be more of a list of things that you're going to want to aggregate and search on later. All right, so we've looked at faults, which are going to give us a failure progression. We've looked at repair actions, which we're going to use for grouping our repair information later. So now let's look at some more of the repair information. The shop was Rock Ridge, and that's who I sent it to when I did the send for repair. The cost of repair, typically there is just the cost of the repair or the replacement piece of equipment. So if this was a $10,000 repair, then we'll put that in.
Forrest, you may want to make a point here that the cost information is only going to be visible to a plant user who has access to repair tracker screens, or to the repair shop personnel who are part of the repair shop who did the repair. If a competitor gets that motor 6 months later for a second repair and they're looking up the history, they can see everything, but they won't see any information in the repair cost.
All right, thanks, Dick. Yep, I agree. And that's a big point because shops are leery to put in costs if they think that it's going to get shared with their competitors or people who shouldn't see it. So I've got two warranties here. One of the warranties, the installation warranty, is only because I've got it turned on. If you don't have installation warranty turned on, you're only going to see warranty end date. So the warranty end date is going to be a calendar date, and that is, how many months in advance do I want this to go? Let's see if I can get so I'll set that for a year from now. Now, what's going to happen is if that's sent for repair anytime in the warranty date, then Tango is going to give you a big message that this is being removed or sent for repair while it's under warranty. And so again, calendar selection, 1 year, if it's a IEEE 841 motor, you may even have 5-year warranties on those pieces of equipment. The installation warranty is just, and it's telling you, it wants to know how many days installed you're going to allow. So if I'm going to give you a warranty for 2 years installed, it might be 700 days. If it fails in that 700 days, again, Tango is going to give you a message. I've got send for repair comments, and so provide detailed quote after teardown inspection. That was put in when we sent this piece of equipment for repair. The return from repair comment is typically comments coming back from the shop. Usually, I ask the shop to put in anything they know about how I can make this piece of equipment live longer. So if they think I should do a better job of shielding it from water, or do more frequent greasing, or anything like that, I would expect those comments coming in my repair. Now, you see the images scrolling by. Those are images that were put in as linked documents. And so when the shop repairs a piece of equipment, especially if it's a significant piece of equipment, they're going to have mechanical measurements, they're going to have balance reports, load tests, failure reports, photographs of the damage, all sorts of things that will end up going in here in linked documents. And so again, anybody who's worked with a repair shop probably knows this, but you know what you get in a repair report from a vendor, don't you? And the answer to that is only what you tell them you want. If you don't specify what you want for a repair report, then you're going to get a very minimal report. But if you have a lot of details that you want, if you want certain linked documents and photographs put in, you better have a specification with that vendor telling them that you expect that. All right, so linked documents, information is going to go in. I've got 3 possibilities: upload a file, upload a URL, or do a screen capture. And so again, if I'm going to upload a file, it's just a matter of browsing to that. That was 2.1 megabytes. I don't like to put up large photographs if I can help it. So another thing you might want to do is tell your vendors to reduce size of these files if they can. Often, if you're just visually looking at these on the computer, 100K image is as good as a 2 meg image. So there's the one I just put up. All right, so now at the bottom, I've got 2 options and a history option. So here I could have gotten back to view the history of that piece of equipment as well. But I've got a save and a close. If I hit save, then the repair shop's going to come and go out of an entry several times. They may come into the entry first when the motor first arrives and put in the failure and put a few photographs of the damage. Then they're going to come back in and put in their repair information. And usually it's even a few days after the repair that they may come in and put in all the pricing information. And so it's not uncommon that they're going to come and go out of this screen 3 or 4 times. And as they do, they're going to hit that save button each time. So as you see, now I've got the information in that I put in earlier, and the document and so forth. Now, when I'm finished with this repair, tag number 2142. And so when I'm finished with this repair, if I close repair, it's going to make sure I've got the cost, the return date is today, installation warranty, warranty end date, and I'm going to hit close. And here again, if you have a comment that you didn't put in, this is telling me that's blank. And so it's going to give you a chance again to get that return comment in. 2142 has come off of the Alpha repair list. It's come to the bottom where I've got my recently repaired equipment. So it's down at the bottom of the list. I can go back in and look at the results again. If I hit that button, I can go back in and look at what was put in for it. But I don't have any rights at this point. It's been closed. Sometimes you, the plant person responsible for the repair, may get a call from the repair shop saying, I closed a repair and I need to put more information in, and they're going to ask you to reopen it. You can reopen it in Tango. You cannot reopen it in RepairTrack. So once they've closed it, it's closed, and it's up to you if you were going to give them rights to reopen it to put more information back in. This area down at the bottom where you got the recently repaired. Again, we set that up, can be 30 days, 60 days. This is telling me it's set up for 30 days. It could be longer if you need it to be. But anyway, that's going to just give you the piece of equipment that's been returned recently so you can see what's been returned recently. Now back in Tango, that was 2142 if I remember right. Tango is telling me that motor doesn't have a state yet. We haven't put it anywhere. So we need to put it in stores or we need to put it in a functional location. But if I want to come in and look at the history, equipment definition, equipment history. So here's our repair, finished on January 12th, started in 11. And you see that it's got our failure progression, it's got cost, our warranty, information, comments, documents, and so forth. That rollback button, remember we talked about reopening that repair? You know, the repair shop wouldn't see that, but you, the plant user, has a rollback option that if I wanted to now put that back into repair, I would click rollback and that would send it back to repair. There's some options on how long that stays active there. I don't recall what that time period is right off the bat. All right, so we've been through the fundamentals of Repair Track. Let's see what else. Let's see if I've forgotten anything. So we've gone through the equipment details options that you get from clicking on the tag number. We've gone through the repair entry. We've talked about linked documents. Equipment traveler we haven't talked about, and we're going to talk about that a lot more next week. But let's look at it here in Repair Track for a moment. If I want to do a equipment traveler, I'm clicking on the tag number. I'm going to go to the equipment traveler option under reports. And here's a page with a QR tag at the top and the nameplate information on this motor. It's a 213T US Electric 7.5 horse. And what this does is that if you'll have your repair shop print this and put it with a piece of equipment, when it comes in, even if you aren't using QR tags for your plant tag, then when this piece of equipment gets back to the plant, your source people or your receiving people can scan that QR tag, and with Tango Mobile, which comes up when you scan that QR tag, tell Tango that that piece of equipment is now being put back into stores or being sent to a functional location, or essentially being received back to the plant. So where before I had that yellow question mark when I searched that piece of equipment, I can go in with my phone or with Tango and now put in the state of that piece of equipment, being, again, stores or functional location. Or potentially I send it back out for repair again. All right, so this week we've talked about Repair Tracker just as if I was a plant user and I sent a piece of equipment out for repair. The repair shop picked it up, put in their information, and then closed the repair. Next time we do this, I think that's 2 weeks from now, we're going to be talking about what happens if you want your repair vendor to do the complete tracking package for you, to take it out of the install location, put it out for repair, search for pieces of equipment. If they get one into their loading dock, hasn't been sent to them, search for it, find it, send it out for repair. Add a new piece of equipment. So if you buy a piece of equipment from a repair vendor and you need them to tag it and put the information in Tango, they can add a piece of equipment. And then we're going to talk about all the Tango mobile functions of being able to do tracking, look at the reports, and move equipment around Tango Mobile. So that's coming up with what we call part 2 of this discussion. All right, well, again, if you're using Repair Track and you saw some options that we talked about that you don't have turned on or you need help with in your plant, just call us. If you're not using Repair Track and you want to start, again, same thing, give us a call and we'll help you get started with that. There are 2 good quick start guides. Let's see if we can find those for a moment. If I go to the sign-in page for Repair Track, thought they were on this page. All right, support, quick start guides, and then you've got Repair Track. And so you got Repair Track quick start guide for the shops and Repair Track quick start guide for the plant. So they're close to the same, but a little different depending on whether you're a shop user or a plant user. And you may find we haven't talked much about Repair Track from the plant side. What happens is on the plant side, you don't have any ability to enter information. Repair Track's intended for shop users to enter information. On the plant side, if you want to see the information that the plant's using, but you don't want to have to get into Tango, you want just a quick view to get in and look at repairs. And there may be some people on the plant that just need repair information for a type of equipment. Then they can go into Repair Track as a plant user and get that information. All right. Again, thanks for attending. We'll be looking at the second part of this in a couple weeks. Call us if we can help you with anything.